welcome to Half the Battle. Let's talk about watchers. You know, people that observe and record.
Sometimes they observe but are sworn never to interfere. Then they interfere all the goddamn time because screw the rules. In the military, there are watchers too. It's the job of the recon guys to find out as much as they can about the enemy without being seen. The GIJoe team had someone like that too. Meet Sneak Peek. His first figure was released in 1987 with all original body parts. If there's one thing I can say about this toy, it's that it looks a little familiar. If you go back to the original GIJoe line from 1982, you'll find Flash and Grand Slam. Sneak Peek has a very similar red padding to these two original figures. It's pretty clear the design of the uniform was an homage to the first toys, then 5 years old. Even the helmet, that's not removable by the way, looks like an updated version of the originals. It's very nice to see.
There's just one problem with the concept. Normally I talk more about this stuff in the character section of the review, but it's worth bringing up here.
This guy is supposed to be recon, meaning he sneaks into enemy territory unseen to check on troop strengths and movements. Unseen being the key word here. Having huge, bright red patches on your work attire isn't helping on that front. This doesn't so much say stealth as it does, "Here I am, shoot at me!" Honestly, the toy in of itself is pretty neat. You just have to divorce it from what the character is actually supposed to be. There are two more problems though, with the thing itself this time. The gray has a tendency to discolor over time, much like the yellowing of white plastic you'd find on other figures. And the paint applications aren't that resilient. They get scratched off way too easily. Hell, this is the decent looking one I've got. I had another Sneak Peek that I ended up recoloring just because of the poor state of the red paint on the chest. He came with some nice and appropriate accessories, and one that's extremely annoying. He's got a periscope tower to do his job, namely sneaking and peeking, though bright green also wouldn't be my first choice for a tool that you're supposed to use stealthily. He further had a walkie-talkie, binoculars, and a gun. Not much to say there, but they're nice enough.
Then we come to one of those things that collectors, and quite a few kids back in the day I'm sure, all hate. The tiny, incredibly easy to lose piece that you need to make the figure look complete.
He's supposed to come with a microphone that plugs into his helmet. I say supposed to because I've never found one. It's that easy to lose, and it's very hard to find on the secondary market. And why the hell does he need it anyway? He's already got a walkie-talkie. So, yeah, good freaking luck finding one complete on the secondary market. He got one more toy in the original line in 1988, 1 year after the first came out. This figure was a straight repaint of the original and was part of the Toys R Us exclusive Night Force line. Now, this is much more like it. Here we have a nice two-way street of appropriateness. The Night Force color scheme fits very well for a guy who has to sneak up on the enemy, and being a recon guy means he's ideal for the Night Force team. Well, a million times more ideal than a damn psychiatrist anyway. Even his scope is black now. Well, you all knew this was coming, but the Night Force version is my personal favorite. And those were the only two toys Sneak Peek ever got.
In America, anyway. Here in Europe, we got a different version.
Meet Tiger Force Sneak Peek. It's another repaint using the Tiger Force theme this time. This guy makes the bold fashion statement of marrying tiger stripes camo with comfortable jeans and high boots. Mr. Blackwell is rolling over in his grave. From a pure aesthetic point of view, yeah, I like this version the least. But since it is a European exclusive, I am a little biased since, well, they got me a lot of American figures in trades. There are two notable differences between the original and the later versions. The paint seems to be much sturdier on the newer versions, as I've seen far less, if any, chipping on these guys. They also colored the goggles on his helmet, which adds a nice bit of detailing, though for some reason the stripes on the side of the helmet are gone.
Well, that's about all there's to say about the toys, so let's move on to the character, starting with the file card.
Sneak Peek's real name is Owen King, and he's from Maine. There's a reason for that. A weird reason. You see, this is one of those names that's based on a real person. Specifically, he's named after Stephen King's son, Owen. Yes, that's Stephen King, who wrote books about killer clowns from outer space. No, the other killer clown from outer space. He also wrote about murderous guards and insane ex-murderers that happen to be writers. That last one is semi-autobiographical. No, really, it is. It turns out his son was a huge GIJoe fan, so as a tribute, he became Sneak Peek.
You know, I'm a big G.I. Joe fan. Yeah, I'll give you all a second to gasp. And Hasbro never ever put my name on anything. Well, except all those restraining orders.
The file cards really only offer one thing in regards to young Owen's personality. He's tenacious and committed. He once stayed at his post observing the enemy for 2 weeks after everybody had forgotten they sent him there in the first place.
Yeah, the Joes are dicks like that.
He has the patience of a saint, creeping along to his observation post, replacing every twig or leaf he moved during the crawl. The Night Force file card adds that he can pinpoint the enemy's location in complete darkness without revealing his own position.
Especially now that we've replaced all that stupid red padding with black. Okay, so maybe that's just what it says on my personal version.
The Night Force card does add that he has a heightened sense of hearing and smell. Doesn't seem the best of superpowers to have when you've constantly surrounded yourself with a bunch of sweaty army grunts.
Sneak Peek never appeared in the cartoon series, so there's nothing to say there.
He did show up in the comic. He was unceremoniously introduced in issue 73 during the Cobra Civil War story arc. He didn't really get a welcome to the team or any kind of introduction. He was just there all of a sudden. Well, at least they used him according to his purpose, as he was in the recon unit that went in first to get a lay of the land of Cobra Island. He showed up every now and again doing his observing bit, like in issue 87, where he also appeared looking like this. God damn! What, did the artist have a stroke in the middle of drawing this panel?
He wasn't really notable in the comics, except for one thing, and sadly, that was his death. Yeah, Sneak Peek is one of the few Joes that was allowed to be killed off in the comic.
In his case, it was during the Battle of Benzine in issue 113. He dies saving the life of a child. Dusty carries his body back, risking his life to pick it up, not realizing his comrade was already dead. It's a poignant moment in the comic and leaves an impression on you. Though I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't point out he may have survived if he hadn't been wearing that damn bright red getup. As a weird homage, there was a character in the Image GIJoe comic that took the codename Sneak Peek. He was an FBI agent spying on a Cobra operation, and he was promptly killed off. Whatever. I should also mention that in the IDW comic, his death was retconned for some reason. I can't say that much about it since I've never read the series, But it turns out that he faked his own death. Again, no idea why.
Because apparently nobody is allowed to stay dead in a comic book. Except Uncle Ben.
So, that was Sneak Peek. An okay character with one great toy and two mediocre ones. It's sad that the most you'll remember of his character is his death and the fact that he was named after Stephen King's son.
Oh, and yes, I am aware of Stephen King's other connection to G.I. Joe. But that's a story for another day. Well, see you next time, everybody.